bedside the next morning and took my hand and gave me the good news, I had just begun to study under a gentleman named Chris Barr. Anybody here know Chris? Oh, you do. Go figure. So, you know, everybody has to live somewhere, and we have a brilliant lymphologist who specializes in natural whole food supplementation who happens to live in our backyard and couch. And he took me under wing, and he was my introduction into this field. I had just barely gotten started with him, but one of the first things he had taught me about was whole food selenium. And if you remember nothing out of this lecture today, I would like you to remember those two words, whole food, okay? The supplements that you buy from Walmart, from Walgreens, from the pharmacy, even, sadly, I must tell you, from the health food store are total garbage. It's what we call expensive urine. It goes in one end and comes out the other. And the reason that you're not absorbing and utilizing these is because it's not whole food. It's taken from harsh, unnatural sources that you cannot utilize in your body. You know, okay, yeah, we've got silica, and it's, 200 quadrillion, zillion types or whatever. But, it's like from seashells, and it's from rocks. Do you eat that every day? No. What we eat are plants and animals, okay? Well, the supplements are going to come from the plants, and if it's not whole food, you've just wasted a lot of money. But worse, you have a very false sense of security, okay? You think that you're getting well. You think that you're putting the right things in your body to keep you healthy, and you're not. So I cannot emphasize that particular point well enough. Dr. Cook, my surgeon, oncology surgeon, took my hand and, like I said, gave me the good news. And I looked up at him and I said, well, I guess it's time to start hitting the whole food selenium pretty hard right now. And he looked down at it and he goes, no. He says, it's a great preventative. This is an old guy, okay? He's really been around. He's been doing this all his life. He spends every waking minute of his day pulling cancer out of human bodies. That's what he does for a living. And he said, I took it for years. It's an excellent preventative, but it won't cure cancer. Now, the truth is that he didn't understand whole food. But even what he was doing still kept him from getting cancer all those years. I had to have 2 surgeries to get this thing under control. The second surgery, I made it to my 2-week checkup to get my stitches out, but I never made it to my 6-week checkup because Dr. Cook was dead. He had 2 weeks' notice and he died of cancer, okay? And he knew better, and he didn't do it. He got off it 10 years before, and he got cancer, and he died. So even the medical side of it understands what I'm going to tell you today about natural herbs, whole food supplements, these sort of things. I only have an hour. Normally they book me 2 hours and I would do my top 10 herbs for survival. I can't do that here today. So what I've decided in a 1-hour block, all I really have time for is talk about one of my products. And my first aid cream is what we're going to talk about. And it seems like I left my bottom labels off, so I might have to send those to you guys.
The other box has them on.
Oh, okay. Because, the law requires the ingredients in descending order. The FDA wants you to do that. If you look at a product and you start reading the ingredients that are in that product, it's by the most that's in it to the least that's in it. That's how it works. So when you see this, it should impress you what's most to descending. Obviously, I did survive cancer. I survived cancer because Chris Barr gave me whole food selenium, copious amounts. I was taking 20 pills a day, tablets of whole food selenium, and another 4, 8, 12, 16 pills a day of silica, plus some other things. And I am not only surviving it, I am cured. I've had 3 different doctors use the C word, cured. They don't do that. There's a liability. They can't tell you you're cured because when you come down with cancer again, they're up the creek, right? No, I'm cured. Okay, I've been cured for almost 9 years, 10 years?
8 years.
8 years, okay. I was here a couple of years before I got it. So one of the reasons that I know, I could give you 2 reasons why I know the selenium cured me. One, this is not common knowledge. It's a whole nother lecture. But if cancer in your body does not originate from a bone marrow stem cell, chemo and radiation will not work. Let me repeat that. If the cancer you have in your body does not originate from a bone marrow stem cell, chemo and radiation will not help you at all. That's why breast cancer is the #1 killer. Okay? Ovarian is right up there in the top 3. Doctors don't want you to know that because there's a lot of money in chemo. Chemo is the only drug that doctors are allowed to hike up the price on and make a profit off you. Personally, I think that's a conflict of interest. We're now seeing reports where doctors are coming out of the woodworks and saying, we've diagnosed people that didn't have cancer with cancer, put them through the chemo and or the radiation, just to prove our numbers, just to prove it works, and they never had cancer to begin with. It's a sad state of affairs. There are a lot of natural ways to handle it, so let's move forward. My first aid cream is suspended in it's going to be one of those days, is it? In pure coconut oil. Okay, coconut oil has a lot of endocrine skin properties for moisturizing, healing. In itself, as the base of this, it is a healing agent. Just a little side note. Thank you, sweetheart. He is my husband. I can call him sweetheart. Coconut oil is the only oil you should cook with. Did you all know that? And the reason is, when you heat up oils over 138 degrees, it changes the molecular structure, and you lose all the food value. Okay? This is the only one that you can heat up over 138 degrees, not the first aid cream, the oil, and still have the food value that you started with. Otherwise, what are you doing? You know, people buy extra virgin olive oil, cold press, and then they heat it up and fry some fish in it. And I just lost all the money, threw it right down the toilet. So the extra virgin olive oil cold press is the second oil I would recommend, but only use it in the raw form. Whether it's spaghetti noodles or salad or somebody grab it or whatever, just use it in the raw form. Sprinkle it on top after something's cooked. Don't cook in it. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So the first, or I should say second ingredient, since olive oil, which is good for your skin and has healing properties in it, was the first. I might go back to that one in a minute, but I want to make sure I get through the other ingredients. Is comfrey. Anybody know what comfrey is? You ever heard of it? C-O-M-F-R-E-Y, comfrey. Grows like a hosta, okay? Likes full sun, likes partial sun. In the olden days, comfrey used to be known as the bone healing plant, because if you crush up comfrey, and just a precursor, whenever I'm talking about any herb, understand that it's always in the raw form and crushed up. You need to get to what's inside it, okay? So it has to be raw. You can't heat it up and destroy it and then expect it to work. Garlic is one of the few exceptions to that. I grow my own herbs for this. They're all organic. It grows like a hosta, and I just harvest the leaves. Each batch is about 1.5 gallons for a batch, and there are 20 leaves about that big in each one. Now that might not seem like a big deal to you, but if you really understand when something has comfrey in it, that they might have in a 10-gallon batch 3 leaves, you could begin to understand. Comfrey is a huge healer. Okay, it will go down and it will heal bruises. It will heal sprains. It will heal cuts. As a matter of fact, it heals so quickly that a lot of people don't like to use it or cut back on how much they use, because if you do not clean your wound properly before you apply any sort of first aid type product to it, it'll heal it so fast that it will trap the bacteria inside and become infected. So it is very important that when you put it on any sort of open wound, that you scrub that wound properly before you apply anything. It's on my label. It says it's good for burns. As a disqualifier, I just want to tell you, never open burns, like 3rd degree what they used to call third degree. Okay. In addition, you never put an oil base anything on a burn until the burn itself is gone, because it can actually do more harm. My recipe's going to change next year. I'm going to put something called toothache plant in it, if I can harvest enough of it. And toothache plant's really cool because you pull off a leaf and chew on it and your tongue goes numb for 30 minutes. So that will be the topical anesthetic, which I think will complement this perfectly. I didn't think that we would change the recipe, but when I found out about toothache plant, I got very excited. Okay. Comfrey relieves pain and inflammation caused by injuries and degeneration, especially the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, osteoporosis. Comfrey creams and oils can be used in arthritic pain relieving massages. Um, In a recent study, patients with painful osteoporosis of the knee treated with comfrey root extract and an ointment showed a reduction in pain, mobility of the knee, and improved quality of life. Comfrey salves, ointments, and teas are best known for topical treatment. Now, there are people herbalists that will say, drink it, eat it, and you will get well. But there's like this tiny, itty-bitty little minuscule something that could go wrong, and you'd have to eat so much of it, we won't even discuss it. It's stupid. But because people know about that, I don't recommend internal use of comfrey. It just kind of covers my, you know. So, so this is for external use only. Comfrey's astringent tannins form a protective surface over the wounds and promote healing. My granddaughter was visiting us a couple years ago when she got into poison ivy. She was 14. Covered in her arms, totally covered. And I, put her in the shower, took all the clothes off, scrubbed her from head to toe, and put the first aid cream on, and then put her on a long sleeve T-shirt, and then I put the cream on again that night. And the next morning, she had 3 spots. And I thought to myself, okay, she's got a really good immune system. You don't go around bragging that it does something just because one person had a certain result. You got to really field test this. The hubby's been using it for how many years now?
Well, since you started making it, 5 years.
4 or 5 years ago when I first started making it. Mostly overnight healing of poison ivy. So it's just one more thing it does. The label itself actually says first aid cream, suggested uses: skin irritation, hemorrhoids, acne, bug bites, scrapes, burns, itching, and neuropathy. And I will get to the neuropathy. That's a really big deal. The ingredients are pure coconut oil, comfrey, evening primrose oil, aloe vera juice, calendula, chamomile, and vegetable glycerin. So I should have said that up front, I think. Okay. Comfrey works so fast that many herbalists will add antibacterial herbs such as golden seal and thyme in it, because, as I said, it'll close so fast if you don't really clean that wound well, you're going to have a problem. Okay, my next ingredient is evening primrose oil. Again, it's a bitter wild herb. It's one of the few things that I actually buy the essential oil, and don't grow it myself, because squeezing all those primroses would take me a long time. Evening primrose oil is what we call a nervine. When a doctor tells you, whether it's diabetes or an injury or whatever, you've got neuropathy, your hands are going numb, your legs, your feet are going numb because you got diabetes and you don't have good circulation, your nerves are dying, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can give you some medicine to stop it from being so painful, maybe. Okay? How do I say this nicely? Your doctor's a liar. Okay? That's the truth. He's not telling you the truth. Let me tell you why I say that. When doctors go to med school in the 3rd year, they have to work with a cadaver. You all know what a cadaver is, a dead body. Okay, so the day comes that we're going to work on the colon and the lower intestines. So the body's on the table, and they cut it open, and they pull these out, and they set them down on the table. And the teacher has them rub Cascara Sagrada or Sennas or the aloes on them. Okay, these are all nervines. And what happens is those intestines start spasming and trying to poop. Now, the body's been dead for months. So tell me why these nerves are still working if your nerves are dying. Anybody ever tried to cook frog's legs? No? Well, they're frozen, and they're detached from the frog for a long time. And you put them in your pan, you don't get that lid on fast, they're going to jump out. How is that possible? I mean, you got a little bit of diabetes or a little bit of something going on in your body. You're completely alive. There's still a blood supply, and it's telling me your nerves are dead and there's nothing they can do about it? I don't believe that. There's absolutely nothing in science that says to me they're telling the truth. Nothing. So evening primrose oil is one of the best things our Creator ever gave us for that condition. And, this is why I call it His pharmacy. Yahweh's pharmacy, because this is what He gave us. He created our bodies. He should know what's good for us. Every time He tells us to eat something or not eat something or do something, He always says in the Bible that it may be well for you and that you live long. I love that. I think that's great. Somebody that loves me that much. He gave us evening primrose oil. And I have patients that haven't walked without a walker or a cane in over 7-8 years. Husband started massaging this into their feet in less than 3 weeks. They're like, I can feel again. I can feel my feet for the first time in 8 years. And if you have that kind of condition, you're going to use a lot more than this over a period of time. I make bigger batches, okay? This is just for your medicine chest for the normal oohs and ahs throughout the year. And most families, this lasts about a year. The benefits of evening primrose oil is it relieves the discomforts of PMS, menopause, menstruation, endometriosis, and fibrocystic breasts. So you can massage it into those, and it will break them down and make it feel better. Ease the joint pain and swelling of rheumatoid arthritis. Now, there's 2 products already that say what they specialize in helping with arthritis. So the comfrey and the evening primrose oil, and quite frankly, the coconut oil as well. Okay. Prevents diabetes-associated nerve damage. We just talked about that. Helps treat acne and or rosacea. Combats the damage of multiple sclerosis. So what is MS? My brother-in-law has Lou Gehrig's. They're very similar disorders. ALS. Normally when a doctor tells you your nerves are dying, he's not even coming close to telling the truth. What he's saying to you really is the receptor on top of your nerve is not communicating with your brain. Okay, there's a chemical that your brain creates, and it says, oh, I want you to twitch, I want you to move, I want you to flex that muscle, whatever it tells you to do, pull it away because that's hot. Okay, that's a reflex. And that happens very quickly, and that chemical's not being produced anymore, and that's the MS and the ALS and things like that. So this is where this comes in, and it heals that receptor on your nerve and allows it to start freely communicating with the brain again. I have a patient that tells me it cures her wart. Treats Alzheimer's related memory deficiencies, counters impotence and female infertility, nourish nails, scalp, and hair, prevents alcohol withdrawal symptoms. Don't raise a hand, okay? If you need that information, it's there. It's just one of the benefits of evening primrose oil. It's been called the most sensational preventative discovery since vitamin C. Has a very high concentration of fatty acids, the GLAs, for any of you that know that, and that's largely responsible for the remarkable healing properties of the plant. In fact, evening primrose oil contains one of the highest concentrations known of this important substance, and only other few plants contain it. One of the things that I do, because I worked in the ambulance and I worked in the emergency room, and that's a high adrenaline thing. And it's emergency. It's like life and death every minute of the day. And you know, plug the hole, and you got to stop it right now. Okay, you just got to change things immediately. Um, because that's my niche. When I went into when I went into that herbal medicine, I seem to fall into that same category. There are literally 3.5 million species of herbs. I mean, that's just phenomenal. Like, you know, I can't even come close to it, so I know that you couldn't. Anybody here own a herb book? Okay, your herb book has anywhere from 250 to 500 herbs in it. You know, do you look at it for a couple days and say that's really cool and put it on the shelf and feel overwhelmed? Because most people do. You know, I would be overwhelmed. I have probably 40 herbs books, and you know, they all kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, it all kind of runs together. So if the herbs have a certain property, you know, they have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they could help with other things to do this and that. I don't waste my time. Okay, one of my mentors is Dr. Schultz, who was a direct and the best student of Dr. Christopher, who was my other mentor. At least his works were. He's dead. Um, we just seem to have that niche for emergency medicine. A lot of my patients that come to me have been sent home on hospice because the doctors say there's nothing we can do for you. And, you know, it's unfortunate they don't come to me when they're stage 1 something, you know. A lot of times we get really great results, but, you know, if you're 3 weeks before you die, I can't guarantee any results, especially if you can't eat anymore, so I can't get anything into you. But, you know, most of the medical herbalists won't touch these people. They don't want that. They want the young, healthy jocks that are going to come here and buy all their products and stay healthy and rah, rah, rah. Well, I have some of those, but actually most of my patients are critically ill people that I'm their last resort. I have a stage 4 breast cancer patient who in 4.5 months is now stage 2. There's a lot of things we do with her, but well, the selenium and the silica and hemp tea or hemp oil is on the list of the things we do. So I don't want to get too far off track here. Okay, are there any questions about any of the products I've talked about so far? Go ahead.
Will it do anything for psoriasis? Psoriasis?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I would initially, do you have a long sleeve t-shirt? Is it on your arms and all?
It's not on me, it's my son.
Okay. On the arms or face, all over?
Different types.
Okay. Well, the best thing to do is to try to keep it covered, and I like Telfa pads because they don't absorb it and pull it away like a cotton pad would. It keeps the medicine there. I don't like calling it medicine. It keeps the natural herbs, you know, on the wound where they need to be working. And you will definitely see. Pardon me?
What is the pad you said?
Telfa. It's kind of like a medical pad. Almost looks like a perforated plastic sheet on the top side. Okay, and I like using those because they keep it where it needs to be. My husband had an issue, and I made up some cayenne oil years ago and massaged it into his back several times a day for some pinched nerves and problems. And I took saran wrap, cut off a big piece, and it just glued to his back with that oil there, and then put his uniform on and sent him to work. And he did that for about 3-4 weeks, and what had taken him a couple years before, 9 months to get over, he got well in 3 weeks. So, yes, sir.
What about neuropathy from pinched nerves?
Well, now this is very effective. Neuropathy, my recommendation would be that massage is going to help you a lot. So when you get this, don't just smear it on and walk away. Work the area, okay? The neuropathy, whether it's from trauma or whether it's from blood circulation depreciation, things like this, you need to stimulate the area. Okay, so that's what you want to do, is you just want to keep working it in, and multiple times a day is highly recommended. So, yeah. If they cut right through it, if you've had surgery or something and they cut right through a nerve, I don't know. Try it and tell me. You know, it's something I can add to my list. One moment.
As a practicing herbalist, I have to agree with you on the use of comfrey. To use on shallow wounds, but on deep cuts, deep surgical type wounds, you know, we've been taught, you know both, that you don't use comfrey oil, comfrey salve, that sort of thing on deep wounds because as she was talking about this abscess, it will form a sterile abscess because comfrey has a tendency to heal from the top to the bottom.
Right.
And with a deep wound, you don't want that because inevitably you're going to get bacteria, you're going to get something there that is going to create that abscess. So.
Right. A lot of people that need stitches don't get stitches. As mothers, we could look at something and go, ooh, maybe that could take a stitch. I'm not sure. Let's ask the doctor. You know, if your gut feeling says, ooh, maybe that could take a stitch, even if it seems like a small, it usually does. And whether you get it or not, or whether you just use steri strips or a Band-Aid to hold it together, if it's a clean one, it'll heal itself up. But if you have that type of wound, this isn't it, okay? Yeah, I would either staple you together or I would stitch you up, but I would scrub it out with betadine and just sterilize the area. You can put sovereign silver, a colloidal silver, pour that into it. Very effective for this sort of thing. Keep it clean and just let nature work, you know. So, good point. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Like MS, where would you rub that or whatever?
Well, you take a bath in it, don't you? It depends upon how far along you are. What are the most affected areas? There's a whole protocol for MS. This is not the be-all, end-all cure, but this does help. Okay, sometimes people start out in their hands, they lose their thumb and the muscles deteriorate, so, or in the knees. So wherever the worst areas are, that's where I would begin with this. Okay, but if you know somebody that has MS, okay, my consultations are always free. I live right here in Thayer. I have a sign-up sheet here if you're interested in a consult, so it's okay. But that kind of thing, I wouldn't want to diagnose because there's a lot of things I have to do. I have to change diets. I have to put him on a lemonade fast to detox his body. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into treating someone with that type of disorder, okay? But yes, it does. It definitely is the nervine that's going to take care of that. Okay. Any other questions at this point? How am I doing for time?
12:37.
20 minutes? Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, let's see here. Joint pain and swelling is gone. Diabetes and neuropathy reduces eczema, treats acne, impotence, nails, hairs. Okay, my next ingredient is calendula. How do you all pronounce that? Calendula? I don't think I've ever heard anybody pronounce it. I just see it written, you know. I don't know. That's how I'm pronouncing it today, but if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. So I'm just going to read this out to you real quick. Calendula is a stunningly beautiful flower, big yellow thing. The deep orange and yellow petals from the colorful contrast with the greenery in the herb garden. It's a little wonder that calendula called marigold. Y'all know marigolds? You plant them with your tomatoes because they keep the bugs away. Do you know that? It was my grandmother's favorite flower, and when I was a little girl, we all had our own glass, and mine had marigolds on it. Okay, this is your chance to go, oh. So, okay, particularly good in treatment for cuts, scrapes, bruises, insect bites, minor wounds. It's an antifungal, okay? This is something that I haven't harped on yet. But everything in here is antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial. There's another one. What did I forget? Antiviral. Thank you. Ooh. Take it. Antiviral. Okay, just like my super tonic, it's gonna knock it all out. It's really gonna get the job done. Let's see here. Insect bites, bruises, scrapes, minor wounds, mouth sores. The one exception, I think you'd be pretty safe to, you know, do a little bit of this sort of thing. You get something going there. Okay. Preparation Preparation methods and doses, you don't need to know that. Okay, the next one is chamomile. We all know about chamomile tea for bedtime, right? It's good tasting, chamomile, very good. So, what is chamomile all about? The term chamomile actually refers to a range of different daisy-like plants which are a member of the Asterocrace family. Now remember, everything that I'm putting in here has a very, very specific reason. It's not just, oh, that looks good, okay? These are strong. These are going to get it done. You don't have to use a lot. You don't open this up and put your finger in it. Ever, 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 ever. Why not? Somebody.
Why not?
Why not? You're going to contaminate it. You know, you ever go to a party and they say, hey, no double dipping. Okay? You know what that is? You know, you take the chip and put it in. Yeah. Okay. You don't want to contaminate it. So, you know, if you use a Q-tip, pull some out, put it on the wound. If you have to go back and use some more, use the other end or get a fresh Q-tip. Never use your fingers. Okay. This chamomile has been used since ancient times for calming and anti-inflammatory properties. After each of their own additional health benefits. I'm not going to bother you with the history. The habitat they're native in many countries throughout Europe and are cultivated in such countries as Germany, Egypt, France, Spain, Italy, Morocco, blah, blah, blah. Why do I bring that up? That's boring stuff that you don't need to know. My ingredients are organic, okay? Whether I grow them myself or whether I have to buy them if either I'm short or it's not something that I'm growing right now. If you buy an herb from outside the country source, it will be sprayed with a pesticide or radiated for you Americans, before it gets into the country. It is no longer organic. It is no longer safe. Even your eggs are dipped in, your organic eggs in the grocery store, they're dipped in bleach before they can put them on the shelf in a grocery store. So you've just kind of undone everything you were trying to do. You know? So it's really important for you to know what you're getting, where you're getting it, because false sense of security leads to some very unexpected results. And we've got a problem with our government right now that they just passed a new bill that says that they don't have to tell you the origin of things. I've taken my patients all off fish. Fukushima has contaminated the entire Pacific Ocean. 3 days, you know, wind predominantly, not always, but predominantly goes west to east. So Fukushima happens 3 years ago. 3 days later, California's eating it in the air. 3 days later, Missouri's eating it in the air. 3 days after that, the East Coast is being radiated with it. We're not out of the red zone. We've never been out of the red zone. Do you understand what that means? Your government's not going to tell you about it because there's not a thing they can do about it. This Fukushima has been dumping, I'm going to get the number right, I usually mess this up, 50,000 tons of radioactive poison into the Pacific Ocean every day since it began. Every scientist in the world is working on how to stop it, and they can't. They don't know how. That's a huge amount of pollution. So we don't buy fish that we know comes from the Pacific Ocean, do we? We don't buy farm-raised fish. That's, you know, you've seen that on the packages, salmon, farm-raised. Because farm-raised fish is well known for its pollution, okay? Real bad thing to do. Even the East Coast is now polluted. And now that the government just passed this new law that says they don't have to tell you where your food comes from, what are you supposed to do? So I've taken them off all fish and I put them on a quarter cup a day of chia seed. Chia seed has 7.8 times more omega-3s than salmon, which is the highest fish for omega-3s, which we all need. There are ways around this, okay? You just got to do a little research and know what to do. So chamomile. As a tea, chamomile can be used for lumbago, which is your lower back pain, lumbar, you know. Rheumatic problems and rashes. As a salve, it can be used for hemorrhoids. My daughter-in-law, when she was having, I think, number 4, she's just ready to pop number 6. When she was having number 4 for the first time, she got hemorrhoids. That happens when you're pushing that hard to have a baby. And I came over, I said, here, try it. And it worked. So, that's a lot of how I know what this stuff does. It's not all from the book. Over years and years, patients are saying, hey, I tried it on this, like the wart I said. She tried it. She came to me during a lecture and she said, will it work on warts? I've had a good wart. We've had it cut off. We've had it frozen off. I used Compound W for a year. I thought you were only supposed to use that for 30 days. She used Compound W for a year. She keeps growing back, growing back. Nothing's killing the roots. 3 weeks, she came to me, goes, look at it, it's eating right through it, it's going to work. And it did, took away her wart. I didn't know it cured warts. Warts are from a virus. Until she kills the virus, she's going to keep being warty. Either that or kissing frogs, I don't know. So, treats gastritis and ulcerative colitis. So if you took the chamomile and drank it as a tea. Those are some of the other benefits of it. It reduces inflammation, so it's another anti-inflammatory. Promotes general relaxation and stress. Controls insomnia. Treats diverticulosis diseases. You know what diverticulitis is? It's a little pocket you get on your intestines when you have a really crappy diet. And so then you have to get off nuts and all sorts of stuff that can get caught in there because it gets infected. Yeah, so... Okay. You can treat, not this, but the chamomile, you can treat eye inflammation and eye infections. So you can make a tea and rinse your eyes, or, those little eyeglasses. You remember Grandma had those little eyeglass things? Yeah. You can put it in there. Heals mouth sores and prevents gum disease, reduces menstrual cramps. So you can see the properties in it are varied and makes a beautiful complement to the first aid cream. Moving along. Aloe vera. Okay, there are 2 different types of aloes. There's aloe vera, and then there's the aloes. Okay, they're spelled the same, but they're different. One is a plant in the desert that has that wonderful clear gel that's cooling and soothing on your skin and heals amazingly and soaks in. And the other one makes you poop. So, yeah, they're different. Don't get them confused. But the aloe vera is really high in amino acids and fatty acids, and those are building blocks that you need for protein. So when you want to heal, you have to have those 2 things for the proteins to start healing a wound or a skin problem. Okay, so that's a real big deal. There are about 22 amino acids that are necessary for the human body, and it's said that 8 of these are essential. Estimates the amino acids found in aloe range from 18 to 20. Okay, so it's one of the big bangs. Boom, get it done. Okay, it's a very essential plant, and it has all 8 of the essential amino acids. So it's really packed full. It's the big guns. I get out the big guns. Aloe vera also includes quite an impressive range of fatty acids. Aloe contains 3 plant sterols, which are important to fatty acids: HCl cholesterol, which lowers fats in the blood, the campesterol, and the B-cysterols. All help in reducing symptoms of allergies and acid indigestion. Other fatty acids include liolinic. What did I write that twice? Myristic, caroblic, oleic, palmitic, and stearic, like you care, right? So normally I don't mention those. It's aloe vera is known as an adaptogen. Have you ever heard of an adaptogen before? Yeah. An adaptogen is something that boosts the body's natural ability to adapt to its external changes. So, kind of like the chameleon changes its color and blends with nature so that it's safe. Okay, adaptogens allow your body to say, oh, I've got a wound here, and just pulls everything together to kind of wake it up and say, hey, I need you, you, and you. Get over here now. Okay, and that's kind of what it promotes in that system. So, if you were to take it you know, aloe you can take internally. You should put it in a shake every day. It's just really, really, really good for you. Helps with digestion. It's a good detox agent. Hang on a minute here. Alkalizes the body. Let me talk about this for just a second because we're wrapping up. Anybody heard of Kangen? Kangen. It's a water machine. Okay. So I have to be careful what I say because the Kangen people don't allow me to say that their water heals. What it is not only filtered, the water goes through 5 titanium plates, and it does reverse osmosis. So it takes that oxygen molecule and reduces it to a really, really small molecule. So it rushes straight into the bloodstream. You need nutrients and oxygen to heal your body. Anything that goes wrong with your body across the board is caused by a blockage. Now we think of blockages because we think of the heart, but the rest of your body gets blockages too. Okay? And so the oxygen and the nutrients in your blood in sufficient supply unblock those blockages. If something is blocked, whether it's your liver, your breast, your kidney, whatever, then disease sets in that system or that organ gets sick. That's how it happens. It's really that simple. That's oversimplified, but it is that simple. You've got a blockage, you need to detox and do certain things to undo that blockage. So the Kangen water floods your body with oxygen. Now, that sounds bad because we think of the deep sea divers and the bends and they've got too much oxygen and they have to go in the decompression chambers. It's not like that, okay? This is reverse osmosis. This is a healthy, healthy thing. People that do absolutely nothing else but take ionized water get well. I have a woman that had MS. This is true. I could bring her here and she would tell you her own story. She lives locally. MS and a list of 7 other things that kept her bedridden for 7 years. The only change she made, she was taking over 40 meds a day. I didn't say 40 pills, I said over 40 meds a day. And nothing. She got on the ionized water, and in 3 days, she noticed an immediate reduction in her pain level throughout her body. And the only thing she was doing. In less than 3 years, she was completely cured of everything that was wrong with her. She runs 5 miles a day. She's just full of energy. She lost 131 pounds. I mean, when your lifestyle is sedimentary and you're in a bed watching TV all day long because you can't even, you're in so much pain you can't walk, you can't get in your own wheelchair, that's what happens. You look forward to your next meal, and she was no exception to that. But, you know, just being on the Kangen water alone got her to where she could just get up and start moving and cook for herself. She had to sell her house and move into a retirement facility because she couldn't clean her house. She couldn't mow her lawn. She couldn't do anything. She's great now. Okay. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything. I want to show you something. Did he go back?
Yep, he said other there.
Okay. I need a volunteer. It's all right, honey.
You want me to come up?
Now, hang on. I told this guy I would use him as a volunteer, so he came and sat, because I was going to do it at first. The quick point I want to make, we'll do it right here. There's so much I would love to teach you today, but I have a very limited time and I'm out of it. You understand that your body has an electrical nature and it has a magnetic nature, okay? When somebody comes and says, hey, Dawn, it's so good to see you, big hugs. I mean, you know, we're in the Bible Belt. We all hug and kiss, don't we? I always say heart to heart, and then we hug heart to heart. So why do I say that? What's the big deal? Left-handed people are called southpaws. You know that, right? It's because that's your polar south, your right hand's your polar north, okay? If your energy level is broken, they literally steal energy from you. And I'm going to show you as an example. I showed this gentleman just a few minutes ago. Tell me your name again. Tim. Let's give Tim a hand for being a volunteer. Thank you, Tim. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hug him the wrong way. And I'm going to try to pull his arm down, and you're going to notice a decrease in the strength. And when I hug him the right way, it opens that channel that I just broke, and I won't be able to pull his arm down. I'm only going to do it with 2 fingers. So first I'm going to hug him this way. This is the wrong way on your left side, okay? 2 fingers here. Don't let me pull your arm down. Come on, you're a big, strong. No, don't. Come on, you can do better. What a win. Okay. Sorry, kids. I'm teasing. Now I'm going to open that connection of strength. Okay? So put it out again. Okay, I'm going to hug him heart to heart. My heart's over his heart. I can't even budge it. Okay? Thank you, Tim. Um, that's a significant thing. Okay? You just have to understand that all these years of training, all this garbage that has been pumped into our minds since the day we were born. You can't have a baby without being in the hospital. You've got to take this drug, and when you get side effects, I'll give you this drug, and when you get more side effects, I'll give you this drug. This is my Creator's body. It's not a chemistry set for Big Pharma, okay? If you overdose on an herb, the worst possible side effect that you could have is vomiting or diarrhea. To the contrary, with pharmaceuticals, even a baby aspirin, there is bar none a single pharmaceutical that you can take that doesn't have death as a possible side effect, including surgeries. Most surgeries are completely unnecessary. Things can be healed naturally, if you knew about it. Okay? Let's just wrap up.
You've got 4 minutes.
Oh, I've got 4 minutes. Aloe vera, and we're not going to talk about that. Any questions so far?
What form of aloe vera do you use?
Yes. What type of plant? I got them from Florida. I picked them myself.
I mean, do you cut it open and use the aloe vera gel yourself?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was asking.
Yeah.
So you don't buy it?
I have bought some, and I am experimenting with it now. But everything so far are from my own plants, cut open, blah, 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 blah. Okay? I used to put beeswax in it. I don't do anymore, so we don't have to cover that. That was a bad thing. Beeswax traps. It has some unclean things in it that don't always come out, and it traps bacteria in, so I stopped using it. That's when I switched, because I used to do this in olive oil and the beeswax to thicken it up. Now, just tell you, there are no fillers, there are no stabilizers in this. It's 100% natural, made in my OSHA-approved stainless steel kitchen. Okay? At 76 degrees, this is going to start melting. If that bothers you, stick it in the fridge, or else turn your air conditioner on. Okay? It doesn't affect anything. It's not going to be a problem, but if you knocked it over, it would spill, and that would be very uncool. Just a little heads up. Most of the time in my house, they stay solid. In the worst of my summer, when I'm canning and the doors open a lot and gardening, blah, 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 yeah, I probably go through about 6 or 8 weeks where this is complete liquid. It's not a problem for me, but if it is a problem for you, stick it in the fridge. Okay?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did you say you added glycerin to it?
Vegetable glycerin. Thank you.
What is
Didn't
the
talk
purpose
about
of that?
Well, vegetable glycerin, again, has enormous properties. Let me find my little notes so I don't tell you wrong. Hello. And that's pure vegetable glycerin, okay? Again, it's good for the skin. Huh. I don't even see that on here for some reason. Vegetable glycerin is really, really good at healing the skin, come on, Dawn. Nourishing the skin. The properties in it are very complimentary. I used to put a tiny little bit in because I had a solidification problem where it just wouldn't harden, wouldn't, solidify. I'm adding more to my newer batches, but they tend to be a little goopier. It's probably 72 to 74 degrees in my newer batches that you might find a problem with it getting liquid. Okay, just because the properties are so good in it that I want to add more, but I don't want to use the beeswax to thicken it because there's problems with that. So I'm trying to keep it as holistically pure as possible. It's a trade-off. So it's the amounts of that right now are just kind of, this last batch I have a whole lot in, more than I've ever put in any other before. So If it's at 72 degrees, my apologies, get over it. That was empathetic, wasn't it? Okay,
Tell Bill a bridge and get over it.
that's right. Questions? Comments? Thank you very much.
How much is that?
$12.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Try to make sure we give out ones with labels on the bottom. I forgot to label them.
This on it. How do you put it on? You rub it in with your finger.
Yeah.
Use like rubbing alcohol to get all the germs off.
I would recommend Betadine instead of rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is good in a surgical situation, but for your skin, especially on a daily basis, it can be damaging to the skin and make your condition worse. They're not sealed. I can see you. Yes. These are not under pressure, okay?